Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your host GBHL James, and I'm bringing you another Monday Hobbit vlog after a couple of weeks out, I believe. So I did have a week when I was getting ready for East Grinstead, which I missed out on showing you, and that means that I've actually got quite a lot to go through, as you can see here in front of me. And in fact, I might have to go and get some other models that I've been doing as well. So as you all know, last time that you saw me, I was working on my Isengard army and building an army worthy for Stirling. As you all know, I've not got any evil armies painted up, so I thought, right, okay, now's my time to attack the Isengard. I had a ton of models to strip, and last time I think you saw me, I'd got them all primed up, and I'm going to show you what happened with that primer, and I'm going to put the question back out to you guys because you might be able to help me. So I've always used a army painter black spray primer, and I always give it a good shake, and before I apply it to the models I make sure the models have been washed, and obviously I make sure that they're completely dry. But what I've been finding recently is that if I bring some of these Isengard models up to the camera, and I don't know if you can if it's going to focus nicely, as you can see very easily a lot of the priming black spray is flaking off. So that's a captain there, let's see. So the whole back of that just flaked off with me just touching it. So if I just put my fingers on it, I know that obviously when you put your fingers on a painted miniature you expect paint to come off, but not as heavily as that. I'm even getting it here on the poof. Same here with this Berserker. So I don't know why that is, and as a result of that, it's one of the reasons which kind of demotivated me from continuing with the Isengard at this point, as well as other reasons which I'll come back to you in a minute, because I've made a conscious decision with all of my models going forwards is to actually do what Shadow and Flame recommends you do, which is actually to just prime it using the black paint that you get, you know, your normal Games Workshop black paint, with a tiny bit of water in there. And I've actually started doing that for all my minis, and I have to say I much prefer it. Whilst it might take a bit more time while you're there and then doing it, it doesn't take that much time. And one thing that I'm finding it is doing is it gives you a real good opportunity to get a feel for the model and sort of where the light's hitting the model and where the raised areas are. And it's almost like before the black goes on, you can almost see where the highlights are going to be. So I abandoned the Isengard so we can move them out of the shot, and with East Grinstead coming up I started work on Boromir of Gondor. I'll go and get Boromir of Gondor towards the end of this video. And whilst I was at East Grinstead, it was another good tournament for me. I had a very tough run of games, but I won 4 of them and I lost 1, and interestingly that was the same as what happened at the last East Grinstead. And even more interestingly, it was the middle game, Lords of Battle, which I'm usually very, very strong at, that I lost. And lost to a very good player, went on to win tournament, Callum Edens, who had a superior bow fired to me. And a similar thing where a wizard just really sort of changed that dynamic. I tried to sort of nick the VP, didn't quite come off for me, and then too late getting in for the charge instead of being sort of confident with getting in for that charge. And as a result, it's made me sort of rethink what I'm going to do with my army going forward, for better for worse. You know, I think a lot of my opponents might enjoy, you know, I say enjoy in inverted commas a little bit loosely, might enjoy the style of play that this new concept would bring me. But I've decided to sort of try and max out Sons of Eorl where I can. So I've changed my Stirling list, which is 800 points. I've changed that now, and I've decided to go for and use all 15 Sons of Eorl which I own. So previously I had 6 of them painted, and I would use 6 maybe in a 500 point, 600 point force maybe, and I didn't plan on using that many more for 800 points. I think I just wanted to get a couple more painted up. And if you've seen my Sons of Eorl before, this is my sons. You will have seen these in battle reports, and of course they've got the white cloak which they're depicted with in there. You can see a bit of paint's chipped off that one, so I'd like to repaint it and then maybe start using the varnish. They've got the white cloaks just like in the source book, and when you've got a few of them in your sort of Rohirrim army where everything's got green cloaks, then they stand out as elites, which is really good. I had to get a couple of them sort of rushed in for East Grinstead. So as you can see here, because I'm getting more and more Sons of Eorl, there are only two poses of Son of Eorl. You've got this kind of forward leaning one, if I can get into focus there, and then you've also got sort of the more upright position. There's only two poses. So what's really key is that you try and sort of change the axe positions. So for example here, these are the same model, but one's got the axe forward, one's got the axe back, and you try and use sort of different colours for the horses and different shades for the hair. So again, that's another different axe position. But something which I've been experimenting with lately is actually changing not just the axe position and the colours, but also the horse position. And this one in particular even, is a really good example of a very simple bend, which has given it this kind of rearing, heroic look. And with the axe up, you know, he does look pretty cool. So those are my existing Sons of Eorl, and of course I had a ton more to get painted. Now, I had to make a decision because I love the reds and greens of the Rohan, and I love my Sons of Eorl. But if I was to go with a 15 Sons of, because my 800 point army is 15 Sons of Eorl, I think it's 13 or 14 Westfold Red Shield, so you've still got the bowfire in there, and a Rider of Rohan with a banner. So so you can see here I started painting up the banner model that I've got just for the rider. I've got a Royal Guard with a banner, and one of those, you know, there's stickers that you get that have actually got the Rohan thing on, but that came off and it ripped and it didn't apply very well. I have to say I wasn't very impressed with how that banner turned out, so I've been quite looking forward to painting this guy. All I finished of him is his, if we see if we can get it into a bit of focus there, all I finished with him is his chainmail. I've made a start on his skin, and I finished his cloak. I'm really happy with the cloak. This is probably the best highlighting up from Caliban Green, and I do have intentions to repaint, I know it sounds like madness, but repaint all of my Westfold Red Shield cloaks now that I'm better, because remember, Rohan is one of the first things I painted, but it's my favourite army and it's the one I use the most. So with all of these new painting techniques I've been picking up since, you know, painting the 3 hunters, I'm quite keen to re-go over some of my Rohan and try and get the quality up. So as you can see, the cloak for him has turned out really well, and I must say I do love the foot model of the banner, the metal banner on foot. So again, I've made a start with him. I'm tending to at the moment sort of going for this idea that I'll pick 2 things. So after I've primed it, I'll pick 2 areas which I want to sort out, and if they've got chainmail and armour, I'll tend to have that as one of the things, and then maybe the cloak, because the cloak's quite a big kind of job, and I like sort of making sure that that's done and done nicely. And what I'll do is I'll just go between the 2 of them. So I'll apply the first coat of the silver sort of dry brush in, I'll apply the first coat of the cloak. The cloaks that I'm using on my riders are Caliban Green and highlighted up from that, using things like Warboss Green, etc. Then I'll do my washes, and after the washes I'll go over them again with the base colour, and then I'll very slowly start lightening up through, sort of starting off with just a little bit of the lighter colour, and then going up and going up and going up until I've got finally the lightest colour. Just doing a sort of wet blend, again using the glaze medium that I've been using has been phenomenal for improving the highlighting. And with the chainmail itself, I just use, you okay? I just use the, I can't remember the name of the colour. You've got Iron Breaker, which I think is the lighter colour, and you've got Lead Belcher, which is the darker. That's what I go to with that. So, onto my sons. Now, I'm not sure if you can make out here from a distance, but you'll notice at a distance that all of these extra sons that I've painted, they don't have white cloaks. And I've made a conscious decision with my sons that I'm now actually going to paint them green, with green cloaks. And the reason for this is that the more sons that I have in my army, I don't want to lose the feel of the Rohan with the greens. So this is where we're up to. So I'm going to show you some of these guys now. I've not finished them, but I have finished the cloaks and the chainmail. I've made a start on highlighting up on the faces and started to also put in some of the reds. So here's this guy. Let's have a little look there. So as you can see, the chainmail's done, the cloak is done, and one thing that I've been using for trying to just improve the standard of the detailing, which I'll go into in a second, of these Sons here, because they are some of my favourite models. They're a model which I'm sort of known for using on the tournament scene and on the channel. I don't know what you guys think of these. Think of the cloaks. Show off a few of them. But because they are elites, because they are, you know, the top sort of Rohan cavalry, the sort of the real kind of royal knights, I wanted to make sure that they look special. So even though I was doing the green cloaks, I wanted them to look really special. And to do this, what I've done is I've drawn inspiration from Eowyn. So this Eowyn here, this very beautiful Eowyn, was painted by Shadow and Flame. As you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I've just been spending time looking at it and just seeing, like, what are the things which make this really stand out as a gorgeous mini, which I could try and apply to my model. So one thing that you immediately notice, because of course, you know, he's highlighting up, and I'm pretty chuffed with how my highlighting up is going. So what's the difference? What makes it from being a good mini into being an exceptional mini? And of course there are many things, but one sort of step up I saw that I could apply easy, or try to anyway, was little things like this. So I don't know if we can get it in focus there. There we go. So you can see at the back end of a cloak there is a freehand pattern design. She's kind of got a gold weave going through the cloak, which is very clever, and then there's like a pattern inside. You know, if you look at the spear and the wood, the grain itself has been painted through the wood. That's a very sort of little thing which I've noticed, which, you know, all these little things together, they accumulate, make a difference. Little things like at the bottom of the chainmail. At the bottom of the chainmail here, you'll see that there are some little gold rings, or brass rings that go around. So, you know, the red is highlighted normal, the leather, it's all highlighted very well. You know, obviously the face is very good, the eyes are good, which is something I'm getting better at. Little things like, you know, the jewel in there, and of course the base is very standouty. But the thing that I was really looking for was, okay, what are the things that I can take from what Shadow does and that I can apply to my own minis easy, even right down to, if you can see there on the saddle cloth, there's just a very faint kind of almost petal-like pattern that goes through it, and right down to the leather on the sword. You know, it's kind of more like that red leather that you would see, and it stands out from the rest of the browns that are on there, the rest of the leathers. So I thought, right, okay, well, these are some easy steps up that I can take. So if we get out another, let's get out some more of these guys. Okay, so let's bring this guy in over here. Okay, so as you can see, I've immediately tried doing some of this freehand, and it's just, all I've gone for is a couple of lines. I didn't want to risk sort of doing the pattern. I could have done a crisscross, I think, relatively easily, but I'm not sure I could have got the weave in at this point. And also another thing I've done is just the gold link at the bottom of the chainmail there. And I think it's these kind of little touches. Also, I am going for the sort of the reddish colour on this, and then the rest of the leathers, etc., will be different. So that's going to stand out quite nicely. I'm going to try and do the same with the axe handle, you know, in terms of the wood grain. So let's show off a couple more of these before we move on from the Sons of Eorl. So you're going to see these guys at Sterling, and I am actually going to repaint some of my old Sons. You know, if we compare the difference. Let's let's look at this guy here. So this is a start made on him. His chainmail's done, his cloak's done. We've made a start on his face with the highlighting. It's not done yet. I've applied the red and applied the sort of the red leather colour there, but it's not finished by any means. But let's compare him to the guy in the white cloak. I mean, there's no comparison really, is there? That's and also everybody knows white cloaks are a nightmare to paint. Painting white is a nightmare. And you know, when you've got lots of them, it's really going to show up your frailties with your painting. So I think these guys are going to look absolutely great. Well, I hope they are anyway. Now, moving on, because obviously I've got lots to show you, is because I've made a start with them, I think it's really key, and it's about time that I got my Knight of the Pelennor actual model finished off. I know I've got a conversion that's got the shield on there to represent the Knight of the Pelennor, but I want to get this guy finished, and one of the reasons that I've been holding back is that I wanted my painting to be good enough to do him justice, and I think that I'm getting to that point now. So as you can see, this is kind of the point that I took him to before. I've not made a start on picking him up yet, but I want his cloak to be highlighted very, very similar, and I also want there to be sort of I want it to be a bit more extravagant in some of the detail, and pick some of those things out. So he's going to be a project of mine. And it's been distracting me from getting started with the Isengard, I have to say. Now, you will have seen recently in one of Jamie's hobby vlogs, you'll have seen that he's made a start on some miniatures for Saga, and I'm starting an Anglo-Dane warband, and I've used the excuse of, I've asked David Reed permission of whether for some Sons of Eorl dismounts, because I've got tons of Rohan captains on foot which I use for Sons of Eorl dismounts, because obviously there's no model for it. What I've done in the past, I've painted the cloaks white. What I'll have to do when all of these cloaks are this colour, is to paint them this colour and make sure I put the bits of detail on and match that up. And also, it's very important I put the shield on. You'll notice that at the moment these guys haven't got the shield on. I'm going to paint the shield separately. Okay, so back to dismounts. I asked David Reed if it was okay that, you know, if push comes to shove and let's say all of my Sons of Eorl get Nature's Wrath and they all get dismounted, would I be able to use some sort of Huskarl, axe wielding, chainmail wearing figures? And that's given me an excuse to get started on my Saga minis. And it's just a start. I just did their chainmail at the same time that I was doing the chainmail for the Sons of Eorl, and same with the skin, etc. I've not done anything else on them yet. But these are my Saga minis. Now I know that Jamie wasn't massively happy with his, but I like them. They are ever so slightly sort of chunkier in scale, but they're pretty cool. So these would be my elites. These are my sort of Dane axe wielding elites. Like this guy, it's a pretty good pose, quite a good kind of action pose there. And these are from War Games Foundry, these particular ones. If you are looking to get into Saga, you can pick up minis from it. You can even use Rohan, or you can use any mini really to represent what you want. This is my favourite of the sort of Huskarls here, and he's probably the most Lord of the Rings like. I do love this period of history, the Dark Ages, sort of the Viking invasions, etc. As you can see, this guy's got a cloak, so I applied the base coat. I've not actually sort of highlighted up with the cloak. So, as you can see, I have been a busy boy, and if you bear with me for 2 seconds while I'm going to zoom in on some of my stuff here so that you can have a good look. There we go. If you bear with me for 2 seconds while you look at those Sons of Eorl, I will go and I will get Boromir of Gondor. Okay, so I'm back. I hope you're enjoying looking at those Sons of Eorl. So if you want to know how I highlighted up the cloaks of the Sons, I started with Caliban green, and again just a dark wash, and then Caliban over the top again, and then I mixed the Caliban up with Loren Forest, is it? Loren Forest? And highlighted up with Loren Forest till I was on Loren Forest, and then the final highlights were going up to Warlock green, or War Boss green I think it's called. Okay, so one of the reasons why you didn't see me is that I was rushing to get a Boromir of Gondor model ready for... Oh, let's zoom out. Oh, that's in. Hello, Son of Eorl. You're looking good. So we'll zoom back out. One of the reasons why you haven't seen me is because obviously I was getting everything ready for East Grinstead, and I'm going to show you now. Okay, so this was Boromir of Gondor. Now, I love the horse model. I didn't completely finish him. I have to admit that I did only manage the bare minimum, really. You know, his face is done, his hair's done, you know, the cloak and the shield were done, and there's a bit of a dry brush over his horse, etc. But it was just literally to try and get him ready for the tournament. I think he's great fun to use. The biggest disappointment for me is that I've lost his sword arm. So if anybody wants to send me a Boromir of Gondor mounted, I would love one. But it's not the horse model that I want to show you. As you can see there, it's the first time I've ever put a rocky thing on the base. I thought, well, he's quite a heroic character, it's worth doing. I'm not very sure whether it's turned out great, but I guess time will only tell when we finish painting him. So if I just lift this up here, and let's see if we can find him. Here he is. This is the model. I absolutely love this guy. I've not completely finished him to sort of 3 hunter standard, but I got him up to sort of a reasonable point I'm happy with, particularly with his face. Let me just try and get the focus on this, because it's not... Come on, focus. Come on, focus. Focus, focus, focus. 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 There we go. Okay, so I made a start on Boromir of Gondor from the Breaking of the Fellowship. I don't like any of the other poses, I have to admit. So he's in his elven cloak, so this is going to get highlighted up the same as... I don't think it's definitely not finished, that. Just looking at it now. No, it's not finished. He's going to get highlighted up the same, or the cloak is going to get highlighted. Come on, focus. Focus, focus, focus. It doesn't like Boromir, this camera, does it? It doesn't like him at all. Let's see what we can get here. Come on. No, it's not having any of it. Okay. So, oh, has it got him? Nope. Okay. It doesn't like Boromir at all. Let's see if we can. His face is finished, and that's the bit that I really want to be able to sort of show you, which is a shame, because I've done his eyes and I'm pretty proud of them. But I love this model. This is Breaking of the Fellowship Boromir. It's been one of my favourite models to paint, even though I've not finished it completely. I just kind of got him in the end to the point where I was like, right, okay, I can take this to the tournament. I can't really paint anymore at this time in the morning. I need to get a good night's sleep. Right, so it's a shame that we can't see him. Let's see if I put him down, can we focus in on him? Would that be better? Let's have a look. So here we go. There he is. Does it like him? Let's hold that there. I just wanted to show you because he's kind of the reason. There we go. That's his face. He was what I had to paint immediately after my last hobby box. It's been a couple of weeks. And then next up it was priming the Isengard, and then I wasn't happy with how they primed, and then I've changed my mind and I've started going for the Sons. So all sorts there. It's been a busy couple of weeks of hobbying, and hopefully I'll get some time to make some progress on these Sons and make a start on the Isengard soon. So guys, I hope that you liked that hobby vlog this week. Make sure as always that you comment, like, share and subscribe, that you support your Hobbit hobby, and that you follow us on Twitter, and happy strategy battle gaming.